Why were the pyramids created? Who created them and why? That has been a question that many people have wondered for a long time. Well, recently I watched a remote viewing session from the Farsight Institute conducted by Dick Algiers and Daz Smith, two very talented remote viewers who were tasked with viewing the creation of the pyramids, learning who built them and why and how they were built. So let's get into that a little bit. This is Cosmic Road, where I discuss UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, join the channel. There's membership tiers below. You can become a member and support this channel to help me make the best quality videos possible. You can also leave a tip in the tip jar with a super thanks feature. Okay, so this is part 2 of my video examination of this remote viewing, the series of remote viewing sessions, looking at the creation of the Great Pyramid at Giza and the pyramids in general. So let's get into that. This is really fascinating information. First of all, this may have to go into multiple videos as well. I don't know. We'll see how long this goes. In part 1 of my remote viewing the pyramid series, I think I'm going to have 3 of them. You will see Dick Algier give his impressions of various things that seem. The first one seems to have to do with mining or quarrying the stone. It's a little unclear exactly what process he was looking at, but it appeared to be non-humans, likely gray aliens, quarrying a stone or doing some weird toxic process. Could have been at the quarry. It could have been deep in the bowels of the pyramid. It could have been some other realm entirely, doing something tangential to the creation of the pyramids. It's kind of unclear, but it does appear, if he is correct, that non-humans were certainly involved and the overseers were the mantids. Okay, now all of that seems very out there, and I totally get that. So let's bring it down to earth slightly. Let's learn more of the human interaction here. What were humans doing throughout all of this? So I'm going to share with you Daz Smith's impression of how the blocks that formed the pyramid were transported to the pyramid. And, I say it's going to bring us down to earth, but it's pretty magical. Now, when I first made this video, I showed the whole session of Daz going through this process and learning about how the blocks were moved. And rewatching it, that seemed to drag on for a long time. So I encourage you, if you want to see that, to go see in the link below and just watch the full remote viewing the pyramids Farsight video. It's about 2 hours long, but it's well worth your time if you want to do that. Of course, first watch this video. So I'm going to share his summary of his impressions instead of the entire session. I like to show the whole sessions because it shows the process, and I think it helps you believe it more when you see him slowly putting it all together. When you just see his impressions, it's, oh, well, he's seeing too much. That's not how remote viewing works. Well, but it's his compiled impressions. So, but it did drag on, so I'm just going to skip to those impressions. And but I am going to lay a little groundwork to tell you what some of the stuff that he was seeing leading up to this. He was seeing males. At first he called them men, but then he said they were males. So it's unclear if what he was seeing exactly in that instance were human. But they were transporting these giant blocks toward the pyramids, and they were using a technology to make the blocks hover above the ground, and there was an energy around them in a field surrounding these blocks. And later on, he said he was seeing dark men in basic clothing. So I'm assuming those are the local Egyptian humans that are involved in this process. So, whether they were doing the bulk of the work or whether that was somebody else is again unclear. So, without further ado, here is what Das had to say in his summation about moving the blocks.
Life forms, probably male, probably from the past. They feel like they're working with man-made, moved, naturally carved or naturally made large, heavy structures, and they feel like they're moving them into position, moving them into place over a distance. Part of this is done with labour, but part of it's done with an energy which feels like it's a buffering cyclic energy, very slidey, a bit of noise involved, which feels like it comes from a technology, an advanced technology, I would say. Maybe even foreign. It doesn't feel like it belongs to the people that are using it. They don't feel like the ones moving the blocks here don't feel like they know too much about this stuff that's happening. They're just using it.
So they were moving the blocks to the pyramid with this anti-gravity technology or whatever it was, which is something that many people have theorized about over the years. But now we have some confirmation, if you can call that confirmation, that that is indeed what was going on. It's interesting to compare that remote viewing session with Dick Algier's session when he was seeing these non-humans in this toxic environment. So toxic, it was actually killing them. One of the channel members who has great insights to share, U.F.O, shout out to U.F.O, thank you. He had the great insight that the area below the ground below the Great Pyramid is limestone, and melting the limestone produces quicklime, which is very toxic. So it's possible if the beings were shaping the ground beneath the pyramids that it could have been extremely toxic, and that could have been what was so harmful to those beings that were doing that. To me, that's much more likely than all that resulting from quarrying the material, which maybe you could say that maybe they were moving or cutting the blocks using technology that was very toxic. But to me, that seems a stretch. It seems much more likely that they were doing something in the foundation of the pyramids. And I'm reminded of Jimmy Church's expanded awareness event that he had in Egypt that I did a video about recently. While he was there, part of what he did there that may or may not have had anything to do with his expanded awareness event was going down to the pharaonic springs or the pharaonic baths deep underground. I mean, these suckers were super deep, and very few people get access to that. But he was able to get access to these pharaonic baths where the pharaohs would go and have ritual cleansing ceremonies before big religious rituals. And that was deep underground. So if indeed the beings were doing something deep underground, did that have anything to do with the pharaonic baths? If indeed the pharaonic bath had anything to do with Jimmy Church's expanded awareness event, if there is something energetic going on there, if there is something unusual in the baths, could that be what created it? Now, you would think some holy sacred baths would not be created by toxic environments that is killing the workforce. So I hope that's not what's going on. But, just something to consider. I'm trying to put all the pieces together, but there's a lot of pieces and they don't all want to go. I think it's far more likely that the beings were shaping the foundations beneath the pyramid and that was extremely toxic and that was killing them. if you can use the word killing them, because according to Dick Algier, he was seeing that they were basically soulless biological robots, which is what you get a lot of times in experiencer accounts of the gray aliens. That is how they come across, and indeed, in the autopsy that was done, that reported by Colonel Corso in the book The Day After Roswell, they were biological robots, is basically how he describes them. However, Dick Algier said they may have had a sliver of a soul. So, I don't know. In many experiencer accounts of the Greys, they do have distinct personalities. And some of them can be warm and friendly. So, make of that what you will. In experiencer accounts, there do seem to be a wide range of gray. They are very varied in their appearance and in their personalities, which goes with some of the stories of genetic manipulation and how they have just, completely altered their natures. And that may be one of the reasons why they're here, is to correct that. But enough of that. Let's get on to the reason behind the creation of the pyramids. We've seen how maybe the foundation was created beneath the pyramids. We've seen how the blocks were transported. We've seen who the beings were that were overseeing this project, potentially, the Mantids. Although there is a wrinkle to that story that we'll get to in part 3. I think there is going to be a part 3. But now let's get to what the pyramids actually did. And this is super cool. So without further ado, let's go to Dick Algier and his session, seeing the purpose of the pyramids.
And looking at land one, what predominates, I mean, there is land there, but I see a structure, and I see a pyramid. It actually got a sharper angle than that. And I feel that it extends underground a bit. So here's the ground, and here's the and this is beautiful. This is this top is almost shimmering, or as if energy is. The whole thing seems to radiate energy. It's not dark stone like the pyramids. It's beautiful, but it's metallic. It's not. It doesn't seem to be stone. It radiates as if it was metal. Very shiny, glistening, high-tech type of thing. It's almost a grid pattern with something up here that's bright like a capstone, like a reflective. And the land, I see some people, very small here. Land is not jumping out at me. So my first land gestalt is the energy is radio frequency, RF energy. So there's a beatific light energy, and there's also, this is emanating some type of RF. There's a very charged feeling to this. Charged, the right word? Active, alive, oral, almost an oral energy around this. So that's my land one that is dominated by this structure, which, I gotta say it seems pyramidal, like a pyramid. Okay, I'm going to try to take a wider look at land now because I was so focused in on that. So this is going to be Blackboard Land 2. These are ley lines. So again, these structural shapes, like a complex of structures, and there's, let me look. I get a very, I don't think this is, actually visible to the naked eye in the visible spectrum so much. It's not like a furrow in the land or a painted line or a road or a rut, but it's more like these are lines of energy. The word ley lines, like magnetic, some grid of energy that is connected to these structures and is associated with the land. Earth frequencies, frequencies of the earth, they resonate. Earth frequencies resonate. Earth frequencies. But they're visible to me when I look on Blackboard as an energy pattern. And there's a very strong one, like here, this is out of line, but it bisects. These are here to bisect this. I didn't draw that right, but there's a magnetic earth frequencies resonance, energies resonant, that's on a line there. So that is land 2, again dominated by structures, but energy grids. I don't know if they're harnessed. Are they, let's see if they're tapping it or creating it. Tapping it. So I would say these points here are not generating, they're tapping. This is like the Northern Lights, okay? It's not the Northern Lights, but it's like, it has that, if you looked at the Northern Lights and sped it up and amplified it 50 times in the sky, everybody's looking up, it's beautiful, it's radiant, and it seems like a light show at a rock concert, like the Grateful Dead light show, but this doesn't, it's not mechanically generated. It's like those, like a Tesla, what do they call it, a Tesla coil? Or that, they have those things that you, the energy is out like spider webs and you touch the ball, and it'll touch your finger and the energy goes to it. That's what this is like, only you're in these people and this is up in the sky. Very beautiful light show.
One sees in this an echo of the Tesla Tower, or rather the Tesla Tower was an echo of this. The Tesla Tower was this energy device that Nikola Tesla invented that was mimicking, supposedly, the Great Pyramid, and harnessing the ley lines and energy systems of the Earth. And that was its ultimate ambition, was to unite the Earth in this energy grid. Well, it appears that the pyramids were doing something similar. Or rather, that Nikola Tesla was right. The pyramids don't seem to be harnessing electrical power, although there was that huge light display. But it looks to me like there's probably something much more interesting going on, talking about ley lines and the energy forces, and one gets the idea of these more magical forces going on. Magical forces harnessed by aliens, or the beings. Really wild stuff. Okay, so now we've seen some really interesting information about how the pyramids were constructed. We've seen their purpose, or one possible version of their purpose, and we've seen something about their builders, or at least, one faction that helped build them, these otherworldly beings. But there does seem to be more going on than that. It's actually fairly complicated. And but that's so complicated, we need to discuss it in a separate video. So I'm going to put up a part 3, assuming anybody watches this video, talking about that, because it is really complicated and really fascinating, and I'm still trying to understand it. Do you find this as fascinating as I do, or are y'all not interested in remote viewing? Please let me know in the comments below. Also keep in mind that remote viewing is never or rarely 100% accurate, and all of this information could be completely wrong, and we're only getting this from 2 remote viewers. And I feel much more comfortable if there's let's say there's a group of 5 or 7. If you can get a majority of remote viewers to agree on something, that's more of my comfort zone. Here we're only getting 2 very talented remote viewers that have a lot of accordance between what they're seeing, but it's still only 2. And there's always the risk of, contamination from their tasker. They're, mentally linking with their tasker and getting stuff from him or her. It's always possible. And sometimes they could be tapping into the mythology around a certain subject instead of the actual subject itself. But I still find these sessions very fascinating and possibly very revealing. What do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Smash a like, smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. There are social media links below. Please follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Interact with me there, and share these videos when they drop on social media. And you can now join the channel and become a member. See the links below to help support the channel and bring you the best quality videos that you deserve. And there's also you can leave a tip in the tip jar with the super thanks feature below to accomplish the same purpose. Until next time, Cosmic Road out.